Hello, this is one of my sporadic videos. Do I get a dishwasher or not get a dishwasher? That is the question. And I'm sure there's many answers to that one if anyone makes a comment. Now, this is the morning aftermath after painstakingly trying to cook from fresh for my lovely and adorable family. No, there's no sarcasm in there at all, honest. And it's one of the jobs that I really hate doing. Now, I recently had my PIP assessment and I literally had a breakdown on the phone. I could not talk about my mental health. It was too painful, and it's something that I'm still working on. I have somebody ring me once a week. It seems to be the only way that I can actually talk to anyone about my mental health and well-being. I can't do the whole, let's sit in a room and talk about your feelings, or group therapy. It just doesn't work for me. And, and it doesn't work for everybody. And I don't see why people should be made to feel worse when they're trying to get better. Now, for me, washing up is a real pet hate of mine. And one of the reasons I hate it so much is because when I left school, I was 15. And my parents basically did the whole, if you want to stay in my house under my roof, you've got to go and get a job. Now, most 15-year-olds would end up getting a job washing up. And when you have worked from the age of 15 to 30, and the only job role that people ever thought you were fit to do was to wash up. I'm not talking like, start off as a pot washer and then, you can then become a chef du plongée, or, we'll teach you how to do hospitality and catering and you'll get a qualification and then you'll be a head chef by the time you're 30, or, we'll put you in hospitality and catering management, or, do this as a means to an end and then you'll get a degree and you'll be on like 40k a year. I'm talking literally washing up from the age of 15 to the age of 30 in every single job I have ever had. I always say to people, if you're not humble enough to do something, don't ask somebody else to do it for you. Because even if you're a manager, you should be prepared to do every job that you're expecting your employers to do. And a lot of the companies I worked for, it was literally, I'm not joking, it was like being a maid in the 1800s. You had these massive, great big basins. You had, some of the technology was a little bit more up to date, but it wasn't very practical. So you would literally be standing over a sink, like bigger than this one, bigger than the one I've got at home, for 8 hours. Yeah, I didn't even get breaks because the law changed for employers as to how many hours you legally had to work before you could get a shit break, as I call it. A 15-minute, I need to go to the toilet, go and get a glass of water. Or if you're thirsty, there's a tap there. There's a cup here. Drink out of the sink. That's what I got told by my manager. Drink out of the sink. I'd have a great big plastic basin there. I do apologise, this is my own kitchen. And in there would be cleaning chemicals that I would have to dip my hand into to clean all of the cups, a bit like this one, saucers, teapots. And then they'd all have to go through the dishwasher to make sure there was no harmful chemicals on it. There's my little, for the general public then to drink out of. But meanwhile, it was okay for me not even being given marigold gloves, yeah? Because the companies I worked for told me if I needed PPE, to bring in my own. They wouldn't even provide us with gloves. And the problem was, even with the gloves on, because there was that many chemicals in that bucket, it would literally eat the rubber. that the gloves were made of. It would go into your gloves. So my hands, you can probably see my hands, I apologise. You can see there's a little bit of a blemish there. They're not as bad as they used to. I didn't actually photograph my hands when I was younger. I was too embarrassed. Maybe I should have done and took them to the job centre. But yeah, so that's what my hands look like now. But my hands literally would blister, they would crack. Flakes of skin of my hands would literally just be peeling off. It didn't matter what moisturizer I used. It didn't matter how many times I got put on antibiotics. My skin would just come out in these big flare-ups from basically pot washing. In some of my jobs, it would be from 6:30 in the morning till 8:30 at night. Some of my jobs, it might be different times of the day. I had so many upper respiratory tract infections that I still have an elevated white blood cell count now, and they don't know why. I was constantly going to my doctor and saying, I've got a chest infection, I've got a cold, I've got a sinus infection, I've got an ear infection. And no one said to me, wait, maybe it's to do with your job. Maybe it's to do with the fact that you are constantly breathing in chemicals due to being stuck over a sink for 8 hours straight. My feet literally would feel like they were falling off. There would be so much water on the floor in these kitchens. And again, I tried to report this to environmental health and they didn't want to know. I tried to employ it to ACAS to say, hey, I'm working for a company that are basically expecting their employers to stand in water up to their ankles for 8 hours because there's a leak on the sink and they won't fix it. And it was basically put up or shut up or go and get another job. So for me, and I'm sure everybody out there who's ever been in that situation, washing up for me, even if I had a dishwasher, is a pet hate. I hate it. I actually suffer with anxiety and panic attacks when it comes to washing up my own dishes. So much that although I have been criticised and everybody will have a go at me about it, I will wait until the sink can no longer be used, which I know is a bit of an environmental health issue. This is dirty, that's dirty, everything's dirty. And then I will brave it. I will literally come in here, I will fill up the sink, wash everything as quickly as I can after leaving it to soak, and then put it away. But the mental energy it takes for me to do that, because of the flashbacks I get from my job of having a manager scream at me, shout at me. You've got to realise, I was 15 years old. It's all good and well people saying, people have got human rights in other countries, we've got them in the UK. But as a 15-year-old, to have somebody scream at you and shout at you, and it be classed as normal in the workplace, that this is still happening when you're in your 30s and you're having a manager say things like, come on, hurry up, get that work done, or else we're going to dock your wages. We're going to cut your shifts. You're not going to get any work for 2 weeks if I come back here in this kitchen and you've not cleaned all those pots. That is how I was spoken to. And I was physically going into the job centre shaking, begging them, telling them that I needed to find another job. I could no longer work in an employment situation where my manager thought it was acceptable behaviour to swear at me, hit me. Yes, I've actually been hit by my managers at work, to dock my wages, to make me put my hands in caustic soda. Yep. That's what they did. And I said, I've got chemical burns. Well, it's your own stupid fault. Should have wore gloves. Well, no, you should have told me what was in that bottle before you told me to put my hand in there. Well, it's your stupid fault. You shouldn't have put your hand in there then, should you? Well, you're telling me if I don't clean these mugs and these cups that you want to give to the general public, that you're going to dock my wages. And as a 15-year-old, who knows about employment rights at the age of 15? Very few people know about what rights they've still got now. And one thing that happened throughout my 15 to 30s is the length of time you had to work before getting a break increased, and now you can no longer claim unfair dismissal if you have worked for a company for less than 2 years. And I think that is disgusting. So literally, ever since becoming a mom, my oldest is 10 now, I'm 40, I have not worked. I have worked, I've been a full-time mom and carer for my disabled children. But every time the job centre tried to pull me back into work, I even went for a job interview when I was pregnant, because the job centre told me that if I didn't go for the interview whilst I think I was 5 months pregnant at the time, with my first child, I was a high-risk pregnancy, I had gestational diabetes, and I went for this interview, and the woman behind the desk, she basically laughed in my face. She said, why on earth have the job centre sent me, a pregnant woman, to be a cleaner? Can you bend down? Can you clean the toilets? Can you use chemicals? And I said, well, no, because they'll harm my baby. They could kill my baby. And she was like, so why are you here? And I was like, because if I didn't come, the job centre wouldn't have given me job seekers allowance. And this is the problem that women are in. In the olden days, it was one of those catch-22 situations. In some industries, women, the moment you got pregnant, were basically told, there's the door, you cannot work in this environment. You come back after you've had the baby. In other environments and in other jobs, women would physically have to work with their children strapped to them. So it's one of them. So people, please do not judge anyone for the way they live. I hate it. I never go into somebody's house and criticise them, because you do not know the reason as to why they are the way they are, or the way they're living the way they're living. And with me, yes, I do clean. I do try my best. But because it affects my mental health, and it's ridiculous to think, how could washing up affect somebody's mental health? But when all you can think about when you are standing in this kitchen, even now talking into my phone, is somebody hitting you. I mean, literally coming into a kitchen and hitting you across the back, punching you in the arms, screaming and shouting at you for not doing your job properly. Why on earth would anyone ever want to wash up again? Thank you.